Hey everyone, and welcome back to another portfolio update for you. So, the cash investing portfolio was up 7.34%, whereas the S&P 500 was up 5.67% in the last week. A crazy week. But, of course, reality hit when you look at the year-to-date performance. I'm still down 14.8%, whereas the S&P is down 8.9%. Since the start of the portfolio, we are still up and still outperformed by quite a lot, or up 36%, whereas the S&P 500 is up 7.48%. Now, the last week, I didn't really do much in the portfolio. And so in today's video, let's talk a little bit about the strategy going forward, the state of the portfolio, and then a couple of news-related items from the last couple of days, and actually also from the last couple of hours as well. So if you enjoy this type of videos, hit all the buttons. We really appreciate that, especially that subscribe button. If you're new here, we're very close to reaching 90,000 subscribers, so it will help me a lot if you hit that red button. Let's start off with some macro related stuff. So as you've seen probably in the last video, right now if you look at equities that had one of the sharpest drawdown in the last 100 years, well, currently we are the winners here. The peak of February 19th is the orange line right here, which is where we're at right now. And I mean, it's quite exceptional what we are experiencing. If we look at the other case here, rare case for the S&P 500 to end the year in the green after seeing decline of at least 15%. Now, 3 times we did end the year in the green: in 1982, in 2009, and in 2020. Now, of course, in order to do that, you probably need a V-shaped recovery. We've had a V-shaped recovery, especially more recently in 2020, right? That huge crash back in March 2020. Then we've had quite a nice V-shaped recovery. So the year here was up 16.3%. Could we see the same thing again? I think so. I think because we are now in a headline type of environment, right? As we've seen a couple of days ago, right? One positive headline, markets were skyrocketing. Of course, one negative headline or a couple of negative headlines, and we can continue to go down, 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 or maybe not even move from here, which means we are not going to end the year in the green. I'm still in the camp that positive headlines, more, let's say, announcements, agreements with regards to this tariff thing is going to be very, very positive for the markets. Now, when that will happen remains to be seen. Don't forget, we are only in April. Of course, one of the ways the markets can go green is if we have these types of announcements. Now, I will add a little bit more information after this. Trump exempts smartphones, computer chips from reciprocal tariffs. So, Trump administration on Friday exempted smartphones, computers, and other electronics, mostly imported from China, from reciprocal tariffs, providing major relief for American tech players like Apple, Nvidia, Dell, and probably a lot of other companies out there. The exclusions published by the United States Customs and Border Protection agencies follow Trump's move to impose 145% tariffs on products from China and 10% baseline tariffs on almost every other nation. The 20 categories listed in the notice are exempt from 125% tariffs on Chinese imports and 10% baseline tariffs on other countries. Goods from China will still face 20% tariffs, a levy imposed to force Beijing to crack down on fentanyl. The exemptions are applicable to popular electronic items such as smartphones, laptops, computer processors, memory chips, flat panel TV displays, solar cells, and hard drives. So of course, when this came out, everybody was already getting ready for a huge jump on Monday. Well, we've had a couple of extra things that came out on Sunday. So Trump said that exempting semiconductors from higher China tariffs, the exemption is retroactive to April 5th. Duties since April 5th on excluded chips will be reimbursed. He also said he will have more information on semiconductors on Monday. Then came Lutnick, and he said electronic products will come under semiconductor section and will have special tariffs coming soon. Semiconductors electronic tariffs will come in a month or so. So here again, quite conflicting, flip-flopping from Trump one side, and then you have Lutnick on the other side, and then you probably on the Trump and Elon side, you have Scott Bessent. And then Greer here saying he believes the US will have meaningful tariff deals with several countries in the next few weeks. So probably the Vietnam, South Korea, Japan. I assume these are the countries. Moving on to some portfolio specific news. Waymo robotaxis make up 20% of Uber rides in Austin according to the data here from Yipit data. Waymo robotaxis made up 20% of rides offered by Uber Technologies in Austin since the last week of March, underscoring how consumers have warmed to the autonomous service since the companies launched a partnership earlier last month. The analysis was based on consumer email receipt collected by Market Analytics from Yipit data. The firm also found that Waymo has racked up 80% more driverless rides in its operating zone in Austin in the first 27 days of offering service than it did in the early days of its San Francisco launch. Of course, the key difference here is that, well, they're launching with Uber. So here again, Uber showing why they are so valuable. You see here the difference between Austin, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Phoenix. And of course, Atlanta, for example, is also going to be launched with the help of Uber. So if Uber can still show time and time again that, look, when you launch with us, when you operate with us, you partner up with us, look at the numbers, they're going to be just so much better. Touching back on some inflation numbers, so we've got, of course, the CPI numbers, the PPI numbers as well. They all came in better than feared. Now, when it comes to those surveys, especially the University of Michigan survey, well, Jerome Powell is actually looking at it from a very, very good angle, which is not a serious one, which is great. Because if you look at the difference here, Democrats, if they look at the one-year inflation expectations, they think it's going to be 7.9%. Republican, 0.9%. So, yeah, I'm sorry to say, but I don't really take these things that seriously. All right, now moving back to the portfolio. To be honest, not much has changed other than, well, Google is now number 2 and PayPal is number 3, with SoFi still remaining number 1 here of the portfolio. Then we've got Uber, Intel, Alibaba, Micron, Tesla, Rocket Lab, AMD, Meta, dLocal, Nebius, Celsius, Appcelera, Owlet, just one share of Nvidia, and then barely any cash left. Of course, I will have to wait until I can get more cash to inject in that portfolio. But to be honest, I mean, yes, for Meta, we also had that announcement of Llama 4. I think that was a pretty big deal. They're going to, well, talk a little bit more about that in a specific conference, developer conference, I believe. For the rest here, of course, the more positive news we get with regards to semiconductors, electronics, the better it will be for the likes of AMD, Intel, Micron, and probably every other electronics or tech company out there. I think that will be the big focus, especially on Monday, but especially in the next couple of weeks or so. All in all, the markets, in my eyes, have already bottomed last week. Might be crazy, but I think so. And if not, plenty of these stocks have already bottomed out. I mean, we did talk about Tesla. Tesla in the last month alone is flat-ish, right? It's actually up 1.6% or so. So a Tesla, where the company is super expensive, where there is a lot of negative sentiment around that, for it not to have moved at all in a month's time, of course, the month-to-month comparison, right? Of course, in the meantime, the last 30 days, it went up and down, up and down, up and down. Yes, but many stocks are actually down month to now, right? Many stocks are down 10%, 15% or more. So to me, the fact that a Tesla, a highly volatile name, a highly scrutinized name that is flat is, well, telling me that, well, yeah, maybe a lot of stocks have already bottomed. Now, of course, I might be proven wrong, right? I'm not here talking about certainties. I'm just saying that this is my opinion going into the next earnings season specifically. I think, well, for the quarter, I think we're going to see quite a lot of beats, in my opinion, but the focus will definitely be on guidance. And that's where things get a lot more interesting. And hopefully 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, we will get more clarity around tariffs. So the CEOs and CFOs that talk during the earnings calls can actually give us valuable information. Because let's say if on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we have, well, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Tesla, all of these big tech companies reporting, hypothetically, I don't think they will give us valuable information because they just don't know. So hopefully by the time a lot of them are reporting, hopefully by then we will get a little bit more clarity because, as you know, the market hates uncertainty. And especially going into an earnings season, having such uncertainties is not that great. But I would also say that I can expect some stocks to actually not be down as much as you would expect if you're looking at a certain earnings report. Previously, we've had good earnings report, stock is down. Now I think we're going into, well, an earnings season where expectations are already so low. And so even if a quarter is not as strong as expected, I don't think a stock will get hit even more because we already are at, let's say, super low prices and cheap valuation for a lot of big players. And so all in all, focus on your portfolio, focus on your holdings, don't focus on what analysts are trying to sell you, because analysts, well, they've been wrong before, they will be wrong again, and don't forget, most of them, actually all of them, don't really own the stocks that they talk about, right? And Danais, for example, doesn't own Apple. His firm covers it, but that's about it. So keep that in mind. Anyways, that's all I've got for you right now. Let me know what your strategy is going forward, and if you've been buying or selling any stocks, let me know down in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, do all of that, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.